Introduced in 1949, the Volkswagen Type 2, better known around the world as the Transporter, Kombi, or Microbus, was never designed to become a luxury item. At its core, it was a practical workhorse, born out of necessity in post-war Europe, created to move goods and people cheaply, efficiently, and reliably. Yet more than 70 years later, this humble van has become one of the most sought-after classics in the collector car market, commanding jaw-dropping prices that rival high-end sports cars. Its journey from utilitarian transport to six-figure collectible is nothing short of fascinating. In the late 1940s, Volkswagen was already enjoying success with the Type 1 Beetle, the people's car that embodied affordability and accessibility. But as Germany began rebuilding after World War II, there was an urgent need for a light commercial vehicle that could serve tradesmen, delivery services, and families alike. Dutch VW importer Ben Pon is often credited with sketching the first concept of what would become the Type 2. Inspired by makeshift vehicles built on Beetle chassis inside the Wolfsburg plant, Pon envisioned a more refined, purpose-built van. Volkswagen's engineers took the Beetle's proven platform and flat-four engine and reimagined it into something new. A boxy, forward-control design that maximized interior space. By 1950, the first production transporters rolled out, instantly setting themselves apart in a market dominated by less versatile designs. With its air-cooled engine, rear-wheel drive layout, and remarkable practicality, the Type 2 quickly found fans not only in Europe but also in the United States and other global markets. Unlike the Beetle, which had a relatively uniform identity, the Type 2 came in countless body styles and configurations. Buyers could choose from panel vans, which became staples of small businesses, Kombis, which doubled as both cargo and passenger carriers, and the highly versatile pickup versions, available in both single and crew cab layouts. Then came the Microbus, which turned the Type 2 into a comfortable people mover, complete with bench seats, large windows, and an almost playful charm. But the jewel in the lineup was the Samba, also known as the Deluxe Microbus. Distinguished by its skylight windows and panoramic sunroof, the Samba elevated the humble van into a stylish icon. It was designed for touring scenic routes in Europe, giving passengers unmatched visibility and a sense of openness. Today, the Samba is the most collectible of all Type 2 variants, and the one that routinely commands six-figure auction prices. Between 1950 and 1975, Volkswagen produced about 1.8 million examples of the first two generations. They were everywhere, carrying workers to factories, hauling families on vacations, serving as mobile shops, and later becoming symbols of the 1960s counterculture. From surf beaches in California to mountain passes in Switzerland, the Type 2 was omnipresent, woven into the fabric of mid-20th century life. Given their ubiquity, few in the 1950s or 1960s could have imagined that Type 2s would one day sell for more than $200,000. These vans were cheap, cheerful, and, in many cases, disposable. They worked hard and were often driven into the ground, scrapped, or replaced with newer models. Yet scarcity, nostalgia, and cultural significance have combined to elevate the Type 2 into a genuine collector's darling. According to Classic.com, the average microbus today changes hands for nearly $50,000 at public auctions. That's already impressive for a simple van with a modest air-cooled engine. But the Samba variant? Its average is around $101,000, with well-preserved or painstakingly restored examples climbing much higher. In fact, prices for pristine, highly original buses have skyrocketed in recent years, with several breaking the $150,000 barrier. The ultimate proof of the Type 2's market strength came at Microbus' Monterey 2025 auction, where a stunning first-generation 23-window Samba sold for $231,000, including premiums. This result set a new record for an original first-gen transporter, placing it among the most valuable Volkswagens ever sold. Collectors are discerning, and for a Type 2 to breach the $200,000 mark, it has to stand out. The red Samba in question did exactly that. Repainted in its original sealing wax red, it presented flawless body panels, free of dings, scratches, or questionable repairs. Unlike heavily modified builds that sometimes fetch big numbers, this example remained largely original, a key factor in today's collector market. While the exterior shone like new, the interior proudly wore its age. Microbus photos didn't capture the cabin, but a video revealed a survivor-condition interior. The dash carried patina, the brown door panels showed wear, and the red-accented black seats bore the marks of decades of use. Rather than being seen as flaws, these details spoke of authenticity. Collectors crave originality, and this Samba delivered just enough of it to feel genuine without appearing neglected. Mechanically, it retained its period-correct 1.2-liter flat-four, rebuilt by the Butcher Shop in Southern California. Originally rated at just 36 horsepower, the engine wasn't about performance, but it had been refreshed to ensure reliability. A rebuilt 4-speed manual and upgraded front disc brakes completed the picture. No, the engine wasn't the exact unit it left the factory with, but its close serial sequence and correctness made it acceptable in collector eyes. One of the reasons this sale drew so much attention was its balance between originality and refurbishment. Fully restored Type 2s can look spectacular, but they sometimes lose the intangible charm of an untouched survivor. On the other hand, unrestored buses in poor condition can be daunting to preserve. This red Samba struck a sweet spot: a refreshed exterior, preserved interior, and honest mechanicals. For collectors, such a balance is golden. It allows them to own a piece of history that's both visually stunning and historically authentic. That's why this bus commanded $231,000, placing it at the top of the Type 2 market. Beyond rarity and originality, the Type 2 carries immense cultural weight. It is not just a van, it's a symbol. In the 1960s and 1970s, the Microbus became the vehicle of choice for counterculture movements, from hippies traversing America to activists spreading messages of peace and freedom. It was a blank canvas for expression, often painted with flowers, slogans, and vibrant colors. Even outside the counterculture, the Type 2 became synonymous with adventure. Families loaded them up for road trips, surfers used them to chase waves, and travelers embraced them as rolling homes. That cultural memory is priceless, and when wealthy collectors bid at auctions, they're often buying more than a van. They're buying a piece of their youth, their ideals, or their dreams. Interestingly, the craze for Type 2s is global. While the United States remains the largest market, European and Japanese collectors are equally enthusiastic. In Brazil, where the Type 2 remained in production until 2013, there's a thriving community of enthusiasts who preserve and restore older models. Some of the most pristine examples now cross continents to reach eager buyers. The $231,000 Samba wasn't just a fluke. It reflected a broader trend of rising demand for original, well-preserved examples. And with supply shrinking every year, prices are unlikely to drop anytime soon. It's entirely plausible that within a few years, we'll see unrestored survivors trading hands for over $250,000 or even $300,000. From a technical standpoint, the Type 2 is simple, almost primitive by modern standards. Its engines ranged from 1.1 to 1.6 liters, with outputs barely topping 50 horsepower in early versions. Top speeds rarely exceeded 65 miles per hour, and long climbs often required patience. Yet this simplicity is part of its charm. Owners can tinker with engines, source parts relatively easily, and keep them running with basic tools. Unlike many classic cars that require specialized knowledge and equipment, the Type 2 remains accessible to enthusiasts. And despite its modest power, the driving experience has a charm all its own. The upright seating position, expansive view through the large windshield, and the sound of the air-cooled flat-four humming away at the rear create an experience that no modern van can replicate. The story of the Volkswagen Type 2 is one of transformation. What began as a humble van for tradesmen has become a cultural icon, a rolling symbol of freedom, and one of the most valuable collectibles in the automotive world. Its rise in value, from a cheap family hauler to a $231,000 auction star, underscores how deeply it resonates across generations. For collectors, owning a Type 2 isn't just about the vehicle. It's about history, culture, and nostalgia wrapped in sheet metal. And as Microbus's record-breaking sale proves, the appetite for these vans shows no signs of slowing down. Whether preserved as survivors, meticulously restored, or lovingly modified, the Volkswagen Type 2 continues to inspire passion, proving that sometimes the simplest vehicles leave the most enduring legacies. At $231,000, the red Samba may be the most expensive first-gen Type 2 in the world today. But given the trajectory of the market, it likely won't hold that crown for long. Somewhere out there, another survivor waits in a barn, garage, or collection, ready to captivate the world and set the next record. Looking ahead, the trajectory of the Volkswagen Type 2 in the collector market raises intriguing questions about the future of classic automobiles in general. For decades, high-value auctions were dominated by exotic sports cars, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and Aston Martins that embodied performance and exclusivity. The Type 2's emergence as a six-figure darling demonstrates that cultural significance can sometimes outweigh speed and horsepower in determining long-term value. What makes this especially compelling is how the Type 2 transcends traditional categories. It isn't a luxury car, nor is it a racing machine. It was originally a commercial vehicle, produced in massive numbers, designed to be practical rather than prestigious. Yet it has achieved prestige not because of what it was built to do, but because of what it came to represent. That transformation tells us as much about people and culture as it does about engineering. Another factor is the generational shift in collectors. As baby boomers and Generation X enthusiasts reach their peak collecting years, they increasingly seek vehicles that connect with their personal memories. For some, it's the car their parents drove to the beach. For others, it's the van they saw parked outside concerts or festivals. A Type 2 purchase, then, becomes more than acquiring metal and mechanics. It becomes an investment in memory, identity, and nostalgia. Restoration and preservation industries have also played a role. Specialist shops around the world now dedicate themselves to sourcing parts, restoring bodywork, and recreating factory finishes for transporters. Companies in California, Germany, and Brazil have elevated Type 2 restoration into an art form, ensuring that even battered examples can be brought back to life. This professionalization of restoration adds confidence for buyers, who know that long-term upkeep of these vehicles is possible. Looking forward, sustainability and the rise of electrification may even enhance the Type 2's mystique. Some companies have begun offering electric conversion kits for classic Volkswagens, allowing owners to retain the vintage charm while enjoying silent, emissions-free driving. While purists may frown at the idea, others see it as a way to keep these icons on the road for decades to come. The very idea of a 23-window Samba gliding silently along a coastal road combines old-world design with futuristic technology, a concept likely to resonate with younger enthusiasts. In the end, the Type 2 story is far from over. Each auction result, each barn find, each lovingly restored example adds another chapter to its ongoing legend. The $231,000 Samba from Monterey is simply the latest milestone, a reminder that vehicles built for the people can sometimes outshine those built only for the privileged few. It is proof that history, culture, and emotion can drive value just as much as rarity or performance. And if current trends continue, the Type may soon stand as one of the greatest case studies in how ordinary machines become extraordinary icons.